Okay, good afternoon to all. I am Goran Filipovic, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine. I'm from Montenegro and I work as preparedness planning specialist in the EUFMD. With me today are my colleagues Alessandra Alviti and Tiziano Federici. In this webinar, we are going to present you the solution we developed to support member nations' preparedness work in traveling and contact-restricted time related to online conduction of simulation exercises. We will also demonstrate how the online platform designed for emergency simulation works. As you know, at the beginning of the last year, we were all faced with the global challenging situation, which made it almost impossible to organize and run live events. In that circumstances, our innovation team proposed online platform designed for emergency simulation to support organization and conduction of simulation exercises from the distance. Very quickly, technical part of the team created a concept and invited member nations to pilot the new methodology. We brought the license, passed intensive training, and since May 2020, with the great help of our operational team, we supported organization and partial or full online conduction of 4 national and 1 multi-country simulation exercises. Keep in mind that we cooperated with national universities and institutes for the evaluation of the simulation exercises we supported, and with other stakeholders, we managed to preserve consistency in the preparedness work and enhance national and regional networks in the Southeastern Europe region. Now this activity became a part of our training menu, open to all, and we received requests from various member nations to support them in the organization of national or multi-country simulation exercises using this methodology. As you can see on the slide, all the elements of simulation exercise organization are there in planning as well as in conduction phase. We have pre-exercise briefing meetings with participants and the planning team. The exercise is usually conducted in 1, 2, or maximum 3 sessions for a day. And one thing I would like to point out here is that we use as a repository of relevant information for the exercise, for example, agenda, list of participants and planning team members, reference material for the exercise, administrative documents. So we use the EUFMD event application, the same used for this general session. However, if you look on the tools section, you will notice the difference between online and face-to-face simulation exercises organization. Live discussions are ensured through Zoom meetings. Meanwhile, the players receive information from the exercise scenario through Conductor Team XP platform. For exercise control purposes, facilitators, evaluators, and software moderators are connected through WhatsApp or Telegram private group. The players switch the screens on their devices using toolbar to online simulation exercise platform during arrival of the index or to the Zoom for plenary discussion. This online simulation exercise platform simulates different media channels like email, phone calls, social networks, websites, radio and TV program, but also even virtual role actors, allowing placement of the index in very realistic way. There is also a facilitator channel which allows additional exercise control. Simulated channels allow direct communication between the players, which create an excellent environment for functional type of simulation exercise. All reaction of the players in the platform are noted, providing great material for the exercise evaluation team. Although the exercise itself is not recorded, which lower the stress among participants. Index don't have to be the same and can be sent independently and simultaneously to various individual players or groups. In this way, all the players can receive simulated crisis info relevant for their role in real work. They don't have to leave their offices or their workplaces. The excellent control of the exercise is ensured. The players are invited or through the software alerted to react, And as a result, we have very vivid technical discussion in plenary part of the exercise. I will pass now the word to my colleagues, Alessandra and Tiziano, who will give you more details and demonstrate the platform we use for inject placement. And later we will respond to all your questions. Thank you, Ale.
Thank you, Goran, and welcome everyone. Thanks for joining this demo session with us today. Right now, what I'm going to do is explaining you a bit more in detail what it is, this new tool that we are using since 1 year, more or less, as Goran mentioned. And right after that, we will also have a quick demo altogether, just to see in practical, how this works. So on this side, on the right side, you will see a snapshot, a screenshot of the layout of the tool. And just to explain you that this is a software, and that's correct. But for the players, the only thing that they need to do is actually connect using Google Chrome to this simple URL, and then they just enter this online dashboard, let's say, which looks a bit like this one on the side, and that we call it virtual desktop. Everything in this desktop can be customized, so all these icons that you see here can be the same, but can also be completely different. A very important thing, as mentioned before, is that any content that you publish, let's say in this simulation, will be in this secure and private web application, meaning that if you send out emails, they are not real and actual emails, but they just exist, let's say, in the simulation and in the tool. So everything allows to have, a secure environment for the people to play the simulation. These that you see on the sides are the channels of the tool, and as I said before, they can be customized and they simulate real communication channels. So we have SMS, emails, social media, but also phone calls and news, etc. So we are quite free in this sense to customize the space as we like and as we need to make it more realistic according to the different scenarios. And through these channels, participants can receive the injects, which are the actual content of the simulation. This inject, and this is a very nice features that make it quite engaging and also very tailored for participants, is that we can send at the same time different injects to different groups of people. So imagine, you have the epidemiology group and the lab group or the government group. They can play at the same time, but with different injects, and receive just the information which is relevant for them and more tailored for them. And all these players, all these actors in the simulation can also interact live between themselves and with the facilitator. So basically, they can reply, for example, to emails or post any comments they like on the social media, and at the same time, the observers, which can access the tool with a different vision, let's say, of what's going on, they can track every content that is sent out by any participants and understand, how the exercise is going on, and if they want to, adjust something or focus just the attention on something in the focus groups, they can do that and lead, let's say, the discussion. And then there are the moderators, which are the people working in the back of the software, so the ones that create the various inject in the actual software, and they can manage the exercise in the sense that they can control the speed of the injects. So imagine that a group is stuck with a particular question and they need more time. These injects, which are usually automated, they can be paused, and we can allow time to the groups to finish their assignment or the task at the moment, and then start when when we want. So again, here is a summary of all the advantages that were mentioned already by Goran and that I just explained you briefly. So we can see that, you know, we have this customization of channels, which is very interesting. The fact that different groups can receive different type of injects, and then they can perform different tasks according to what they received and react in different ways in the scenario. And then, of course, on the observers and moderators side, the fact that you can track and control real time what's going on in the simulation and just, you know, provide answers to your players. And last but not least, everything, as we said before, is just, you know, happening in that space and not going outside anywhere. So now I will pass the word to my colleague Tiziano Federici, who will just, you know, show you and practically guide you through the simulation live.
Thank you, Alessandra, and thank you, Goran, for the introduction, the explanation of the main characteristics of the software. So for the purpose of this webinar, we have just created a very short simulation exercise that you can actually play with us. So I'm going to share with you a link that you can click on it. If you could use Google Chrome, it would be the best way to play with us. So I'm going to send you now in the chat box the link, and you can click it or copy paste it into Google Chrome or Edge. But please do not use Internet Explorer. With this browser, the link doesn't work. Okay, so let me know if you have any problem with the connection. You have just to click on the play button. I think that you have you have the microphone and the camera access. So if you have any problem, just talk to me or write in the chat, and we will try to help you. So I'm going also to share my screen so you can see better how it will work, the simulation.
And just a note to add, in this particular case, you will all receive the same type of injects because we just, you know, created a demo scenario for you all to play with. But in reality, the most of the time we use this tool, we assign a registration process to the people, and the players are divided in different teams, as we said before, and receive different type of injects. But in this case, you will just receive the same bulk of information.
Okay, I see that many of you have joined the simulation. So let's start with the first inject.
And Tiziano, yeah, great.
Okay, I think that now you should have receive a time and a date. This is just to create the environment. Let's say we usually insert date and time just to insert in a frame the situation that is actually happening. So I don't want to anticipate too much, but it's just to tell you that the next inject will be a phone call, and you can click on accept and reject. I would suggest to accept it, because you can here actually you can be part of the mood of the scenario. You can better understand how what are we doing, what are we talking about. Okay, for those who are not listening the phone call, usually the simulation is created. Usually the phone call cannot be listened again. It's just like a real phone call, so you cannot reject it and listen it later. And this can be useful when you want to create a real simulation, just like when you receive a real phone call. I think that the audio of the phone call is now over, so we can move on with the other injects. And now, if you see on your screen, you should see the facilitator channel that is with that is blinking. And basically, the facilitator channel is the one that we use to. It's like a questions from outside. Usually, here the technical side insert questions related to what is actually going on in the simulation, and is used to evaluate and to check what the people would react in that particular situation. Of course, you can reply to this message by clicking on the pen here at the bottom, and if you want, you can do it. So you can type, in this case, it's question 1, and you can answer to this question here. So I can say no, for example, and you can send it. Exactly. So okay, and usually, of course, the reply to this question are only visible to the observer and to the evaluator. Usually, the other player will not see the answer to these questions, because this is something that is like a bit outside of the normal process of the exercise. Okay, so we can go on. We decided to insert also a map. Sometimes it's good to make it clear what is happening in the exercise and where it's happening, because sometimes the borders and the cities where are located, it can be very helpful to understand how a specific disease can spread into the city, into the forest area, into the lake. It depends. This is just a random. A fake map, of course. It's Arcadia. It's a place, an island that actually doesn't exist, but it's nice to see how we can work with it. And now you should have received the first email of the exercise. So the email in the system in the simulation, they work just as the regular email. You can read email, download the attachment, and you can reply to specific person, to all the person. You can forward the email. You can create a real situation where you interact with your colleagues and your supervisors. I would like to underline again, as also Alessandra and Goran did, but this email will remain inside the simulation, will not go outside. Even if usually the people are registered with their own real email, we will remain, everything will remain inside the software, this software. Just the timing just changed, so we have moved 1 day on. And you have received another email with the lab results. So again, you can check the results, you can understand the situation, you can share this information with your colleagues, you can take action consequently to what the lab results shown. And you can do you can do the normal process that you do when you are in this kind of situation of a spreading of the disease. We insert also a channel that is called, we call it Viber, but it's basically, these are basically text messages. We can call it WhatsApp or Telegram or SMS, whatever we want. It's another channel that we can use to communicate to the players, to give them also, to give them other information. And this last part of the simulation, we inserted some some news and something related more to communication. So we created an article regarding the FMD, so what it is FMD. This is a web page. We imagine a website called FMD News, where we can insert all the type information regarding related to FMD. And now we have another question from the facilitator. That is question number 2. And again, you can reply by clicking on the button and simply, again, stating question number 2, and you can say, I will do this, etc., etc. And in the last part, we also included some communication channel. For example, in this case, we have Instagram and Facebook, and we decided to put some posts that can be a bit tricky to reply. This might be something intended for the communication for the communication team, for example, because you know that in the social media there are a lot of news that circulate, and this is something that could actually happen, and it can be good to understand how to react to this kind of situation. And the last one is a Facebook post. You see, we created a fake character that is called Marco, and he posted a picture of a cow, and you can, of course, you can type here your reply. You can talk with him. You can explain the what is actually happening. It's like a real real Facebook feed. Okay, for the moment, it's over. We have finished all the type of inject. The simulation is now over. And I think I can give the floor back to Goran and Alessandra in case they want to add anything else. But please, if you have any questions, just type in the chat or in the Q&A, or you can switch on the microphone and talk to us.
Thanks, everyone. If you have questions, as Tiziana said, you can either write or you can just use the raise hand button and we will reply to it. We hope you managed to log into the simulation and had a chance to do a tour with us, let's say. So don't be shy, feel free to ask anything. Yes, Barbara.
Good afternoon, and congratulations for this really very interesting tool. I would have many questions, but I'll try to keep it short. Is it intended to be used completely live, or is there any feedback work or activity that has to be completely completed individually, offline, from a time to a time, or is it intended to be used in one single session? And in this second case, how long are the simulation exercises as a whole? Thank you.
Thanks. Goran, you want to reply or?
Thank you. Well, it depends how you want to structure your simulation exercise. You need to be connected and online to have a reaction to the software. You cannot reply to virtual persons or actor role players, virtual role players. But you can reply to your colleagues. You can generate attachment and attach to email and send to all your team members or anyone relevant to receive that. But yes, if I understood well, you need to be connected to be able to do that. That your reaction as a player will be noted in the software, will be visible only to evaluators, because evaluators have a different grid to observe, and later as a transcript will be available for evaluation purposes, for the exercise evaluation purposes. I hope this answers your question. If not, please.
No, it's really clear. I was wondering then, which is more or less the overall duration of the exercise, and if you have tested, which are the feedback, which are the comments you received. And also I had another question, if I can, which is the reusability. I mean, would you be eventually available to share the tool and to build further exercises to be used in members and according to some coordination work? Thanks.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on Goran's reply before. What happens many times and what happened so far is that, for example, we select during I don't know, 3 days workshop a time for the exercise through the tool. Then what is going on, and what Goran explained before, is that if, for example, we have a lot of participants, we divide them in smaller groups when they are in the live session. And once they are there, we start with the scenario, but then we are able, as you saw before, to pause it or play it faster according to the needs of the people. So imagine, you know, people are doing the exercise live in that moment, but they need to work in groups to develop a PowerPoint presentation for the next step of the workshop. We can pause it, they can work on that, discuss some things, and then receive the next bulk of injects. We also have the scenario during more than 1 day, let's say. So for example, you know, day 1, we have an initial phase, and then day 2, they go ahead with another part of the scenario. And just to say that everything is customizable. Of course, once you start receiving the injects, you are live in the moment. So we suggest more or less 1 hour duration of it to, you know, have a certain number of, it depends on the number of injects you have. If your scenario is very short, it might last only 15 minutes, for example. If you have a lot of injects and a lot of content that you want to share, in that case, it might last even a bit longer, but this is, you know, to be adjusted according to the needs.
Thank you, Ale. Also depends from objectives of the simulation exercise. So what objectives you have and aim to reach. But we usually have, as I said, maximum 3 sessions for a day, lasting around 2 to 3 hours with pause, and debriefing part after that, lasting also between 2 and 3 hours, usually the same time as it is a work a part of the simulation exercise. Thank you.
And for the question if it can be shared or what we do usually, maybe Goran again can reply better than me, but we collaborated with different countries and groups, etc., to develop the exercise together. So of course we provide part of the expertise and the implementation also into the software, but we closely collaborate with the, you know, technical experts that wants to create the scenario to make sure that it's realistic, that it follows the correct procedures of the country or the organization we work with, and make it real, let's say. But Goran, maybe you can add more on this as well.
Thank you, Ale. I think you explained. Yes, we can created scenario can be used and adapt to next simulation exercise, but it's all injects we placed is always customized. The profiles are customized, and having in mind that players receive only the information relevant for their own scope of work, it's immediately engaging and alert them to react. So as a product of that is very vivid discussion in the plenary part of of a simulation exercise when where all approach with their own point of view from their own role in the real life. Thanks.
And just one more thing with regarding the how it's called. We receive a lot of good feedbacks with these exercises. It's something that, let's say, it was intended for the pandemic, but actually during these years it became something very relevant and important. But what we always try to do is to push the people to work together. So this is mainly for Goran and for the other observers. They push a lot to let the people work together, and since now we receive some good, very good feedbacks from who actually played the real scenarios.
If I can comment, I can say that the originality of this tool is just the capacity to recreate true environments. So it's really very realistic, and you know, Facebook and news, etc. So maybe the complexity of the game can be organized according to the objectives, the target population, etc. But really, congratulations for the idea and also the capacity to make it really very realistic. So yeah, definitely very interesting. Thank you for showing and sharing it with us.
Thank you, Barbara. I would only like to add the software is extremely user-friendly. We never had a problem with players to operate in the software, to communicate or to react. It was always very easy for players. Thank you.
So we are, let's say, 3 minutes over our time of the meeting. I don't know if we want to have any last question from anyone else. We are available to stay a bit longer, but we also know that there is, you know, the general session coming in less than half an hour, so we don't want to keep you in this meeting and not refresh you before the next one. Yes, Mariano, maybe.
Yes, thank you very much for your presentation, excellent demonstration. Just wondering whether you spent a lot of time to preparation in order to inform and to provide briefing and explanations to, for example, observers or evaluators and so on. Is there any comments about that? Thank you very much.
Yes, Goran, I don't know if, again, maybe this is more on your area of expertise.
If I understand well, you ask about the time necessary to organize simulation exercise on this way, right? To set up the software, right? It's very demanding. Tiziano and Dalia are great support to set up the software for this. So it's very demanding. The team must be balanced and adjusted. So we work all together, technical team and IT sector, and we managed to do that together with the country representatives, taking in consideration aim, objectives, and scope of the simulation exercise without problem. But anyway, require a very intensive training to set up the software, and we already passed it, and license, of course, for the software so you can use it. Thank you. Ale, if you want.
Yes, just to add on that basically the way we worked so far, and we think that it's quite useful for the technical team many times, is that when the technical team has a clear understanding of what is the scenario they want, what are the injects they would like to implement, and what is the content of each of these injects, basically what can be developed is an Excel table which contains, you know, all this main structure. It's called MEL, so master event list, basically. And we, from that list, we can upload it into the software and then customize it from there. So let's say that the technical team can work on this Excel part without worrying about the software. Then we receive the Excel, and alongside the Excel, all the content. So for example, the attachments you want, the recording of the audio calls, the pictures, anything that you wanted to put in it, and then we develop it in the software. So your work, let's say in advance, will just be mainly on the technical side of things, like working on the content, and this is where Goran helps you the most, because he provides guidance on what can be done, because he's in between the software and the content, and provide this input. And of course, for the observers as well, they don't need to do much into the software again, because we can export the list of replies and just send it to them, but they have a role. For example, if they are moderators in the actual discussion, they have a role in guiding the participants through, the better results. So most of the time, Goran and other colleagues are, the facilitators of the exercise, and they say, okay, we received this inject, now what do we do? But this depends a lot on the level of reality and interaction you want to have with the players. If you want just to see what they do without, guiding them, they just receive the injects and then you see afterwards and you get your conclusions, let's say. So it depends on how do you want to structure it. Neven, I don't know if you also have a question. Thank you.
I don't have a question, but as a participant of 2 online simulation exercises, I have to say everything went smooth, and on the February we had I don't know, about 50 participants, and there was no mistakes and everything went smooth. No, I'm fine with that. So this is my experience, and the experience is very good.
Thank you. Thank you. So
Thanks.
I think we thank everyone really for your participation. And if you in the future, like later today or anytime, have any other question, you can really ask us and write us an email. Maybe we can just write in the chat boxes our email addresses, and then we release you, let's say, for the actual general session now. Thanks a lot to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye bye.